ChatGPT said, we live in a time where everything is loud. Everyone's talking. Everyone's posting. Every thought, every intention, not enough, every move. It's out there for the world to see. And somehow in the middle of all that noise, we've started believing that silence means nothing's happening. But that if you're not broadcasting, you're not building. But here's the truth: silence is not a void. Silence is a strategy. When you choose to work in silence, not enough, what you're really choosing is focus. And focus in today's distracted world is power. Because while others are busy announcing what they're about to do, you're doing it. Quietly. Not enough. Consistently. Relentless. Ask you this: how much energy do we waste trying to convince people that we're on our way somewhere, instead of just going there? How many hours are spent explaining our dreams instead of executing them? And more than that, how often does sharing a goal feel like progress, when it's actually just a performance? Not enough. We've all done it. We've all posted that we're grinding, building, coming soon. But what happens after the post? After the announcement, that dopamine hit we got from being seen. It fades, and the work, it's still waiting. Only now it's heavier because we've attached an audience to it. An audience expecting results, and expectations without preparation. They create pressure, not progress. See, silence removes that pressure. It frees you from the weight of public accountability and puts you back in control of your own timeline. When you're not performing for others, you start performing for yourself. Not enough? And that's when the real shift happens. Because in silence, you're not distracted by applause. You're not chasing approval. You're chasing growth. You're refining. Not enough? You're adjusting. You're failing in private and learning in peace. There's something sacred about that. Something grounding. Because the minute we bring other people's opinions into our process, we lose clarity on our own voice. You want to know where mastery is born? It's not born on stage. It's born in quiet spaces. Behind closed doors. In early mornings and late nights, in routines no one claps for. Mastery is built when no one's watching. Not enough? Because that's when it's real. And let's be honest, silence isn't always comfortable. We're conditioned to think that if we're not seen, we're not succeeding. But real confidence, the kind that doesn't shake when no one validates it, it's forged in silence. It's forged when you keep showing up for yourself with no audience, no reward, no recognition. Just the fire inside you and the discipline to protect it. Think about the greatest transformations in nature. Seeds break open in darkness. Stars are born in silence. Mountains rise without announcing themselves. Power doesn't have to prove itself. It just is. And that's what working in silence gives you. It gives you back your essence. Your energy. Not your edge. Because the more silent your work, the louder your results. And when results speak, they don't ask for permission. They don't need to explain. They prove. Silence also teaches patience, and patience is rare these days. We want it fast. We want it visible. But building something real takes time. Not enough. And while the world scrolls for the next quick fix, you're playing a longer game. A deeper game. A game where every day you're laying bricks, even if nobody sees the wall yet. And when that wall stands, strong, unshakable, they'll wonder how you did it. And you won't have to say a word. Because your consistency already said everything. So, if you're in a season of silence right now, don't resent it. Respect it. If nobody's clapping, clap for yourself. If nobody understands your process, keep going anyway. Not enough? You're not building for noise. You're building for legacy. And legacy doesn't shout. It echoes. Not enough? There's a moment in every journey where you decide what matters more. Being seen starting, or being remembered for finishing. Choose wisely. Not enough. Because the world will always tempt you to make noise. But the ones who truly win, they let their success make it for them. Not enough? One of the most difficult things in today's world is to build something quietly without asking for a round of applause every few steps. We're wired for feedback. Not enough? From the time we're children, we look up when someone claps. We learn that attention means approval, and approval means we're on the right path. Not enough. But if you really want to build something meaningful, something that lasts, you have to learn to go of that craving for validation. You have to build without it. Because the truth is, not validation is addictive. It's like sugar for your ambition. Tastes good in the moment, but it doesn't nourish your growth. In fact, if you're not careful, it starts replacing the real substance of your work. You stop working to improve and you start working to impress. And once you're chasing praise instead of progress, not enough? You've already lost control of your direction. When you're building in silence, you're not performing for the crowd. You're not filtering your process through other people's opinions. Not enough. You're not adjusting your blueprint just to get a few likes or a quick compliment. You're operating from a place of authenticity, from alignment. And that's powerful, because it means you're focused on the work, not the reaction to it. You see, too many people are designing lives that look successful instead of building ones that feel fulfilling. Not enough. It's easier to post the illusion than to live the reality. But eventually, the gap between what you show and what you are begins to feel heavy. And that weight, not enough? That's what happens when your identity is built on external approval. You can't carry it forever. When you're not seeking validation, you're free. Free to make mistakes without judgment. Free to explore ideas without fear. Free to pivot without explaining yourself. That's the space where creativity breathes and resilience forms. Because when nobody's watching, you learn how to watch yourself. You become your own coach, your own critic, your own biggest fan. And that level of self-trust, that's unshakable. Not enough. But let's be honest, silence can be lonely. When you're working hard and there's no one cheering, it's tempting to shout your progress into the void just to hear something echo back. But that echo doesn't build you. It just distracts you. Real builders, real visionaries, understand that not every part of the journey deserves a spotlight. Some parts need solitude. Not enough. There's also a psychological strength that develops when you stop outsourcing your confidence. Because the minute you tie your self-worth to someone else's reaction, not enough, you give away your power. And that's dangerous. Because now you're not just building, you're performing. You're editing yourself. Not enough. You're shrinking or inflating your actions based on what you think people want to see. And the real tragedy, not enough. You might end up building a version of success that doesn't even belong to you. That's why building without validation isn't just about discipline. It's about identity. It forces you to ask, if no one ever clapped, would I still do this? If no one ever noticed, would it still matter to me? Those are hard questions. But they lead to honest answers. And honesty is where great things begin. Because the people who make real impact, the ones whose work outlives the moment, they didn't build to impress. They built to serve. They built to solve a problem, to express a truth, to fulfill a calling. And most of that work, it started in silence, with no guarantee of recognition, just a belief that it mattered. Look, not enough. There's a reason so many greats go unnoticed at first. It's because they're not selling themselves. They're sharpening themselves. They're in the lab, in the workshop. Not enough. In the quiet rooms where character is formed and vision is tested. And by the time the world sees what they've made, it's already undeniable. Not enough. Not because they hyped it up, but because they built it right. So if you're building right now and it feels like no one sees you, good. That means you're still free. Not enough. That means your work isn't being shaped by applause. It's being shaped by purpose. That means you're not designing for validation. You're designing for impact. Not enough. And when you build from that place, you don't just rise, you last. Here's the shift: stop trying to look ready and start getting ready. Not enough. Stop trying to prove you're great and start becoming great. Don't be loud about the path. Be loud about the result. Because when it's real, it doesn't need promotion. It creates its own gravity. ChatGPT said, let's be real. Working in silence isn't glamorous. It doesn't come with likes, retweets, or applause. Not enough. There are no congratulations for getting up early when no one's watching. No standing ovation for choosing discipline over distraction. And that's exactly why it's powerful. Because silence demands something most people don't talk about. Patience. And not just the kind of patience that waits, but the kind that endures, grows, and sharpens while waiting. Not enough. We've been sold a lie that everything meaningful has to happen fast. That if you don't have it now, if people aren't noticing now, if success isn't happening now, you must be behind. But here's the truth: success that comes fast rarely comes deep. And deep success, the kind rooted in character, competence, and consistency, that kind takes time. It doesn't erupt. It unfolds. Patience is a kind of quiet power. It's not passive. It's not weak. Not enough. It's not sitting on your hands hoping things get better. No, patience is active. It's staying committed when the results are invisible. It's waking up every day and choosing to plant seeds without demanding a harvest. Because you understand that just because it's not visible doesn't mean it's not valuable. Not yet. You see, when you work in silence, people won't always get it. You'll be misunderstood, underestimated, maybe even dismissed. That's okay. That's part of the process. In fact, not enough. That's your advantage. Because while they're looking for fireworks, you're building a foundation. You're not looking for a reaction. You're working toward a result. Not enough. And the people who win long-term are always the ones willing to be underestimated short-term. There's a certain level of maturity required to keep going when no one's cheering. Not enough. That's when most people stop, when the attention fades, when the buzz dies down. But when you're patient, you learn to love the work for what it is, not just what it gives you. Not enough. You develop a kind of internal stability that can't be shaken by the highs and lows of visibility. Think about it. The strongest trees grow slowly. Not their roots go deep before anything breaks the surface. The tallest buildings begin with months of invisible groundwork. You don't get strength without structure, and structure takes time. Not enough. But we forget that. We look around and compare our day 1 to someone else's year 10. We scroll through success stories without seeing the silent seasons that built them. But you can't shortcut character. You can't microwave mastery. Patience keeps you grounded in what matters, because if you're always chasing speed, you'll trade depth for attention. Not enough. You'll start skipping steps just to get somewhere faster. But what's the point of arriving quickly if you're not prepared to stay? Not enough. That's what patience gives you. It trains your preparation. It builds capacity in the quiet. And when the opportunity finally shows up, you're not scrambling to catch up. You're already ready. And let's be honest, patience is hard in a loud world. We see highlights every time we open our phones. People flaunting wins, lifestyles, achievements, and it's tempting to think, I should be there by now. But the truth is, everyone has a silent chapter they don't post. Not enough. The work behind the scenes, the early mornings, the setbacks, the days they wanted to quit. You don't see that part, but it's always there. Because success isn't just about what you build. It's about what you survive. So if you're in that quiet phase right now, where it feels like you're grinding without gain, I like the progress is too slow, like nobody notices. Breathe, you're not being prepared. This isn't punishment. It's practice. And if you keep showing up, you'll start to realize that patience wasn't slowing you down. It was making you solid. Because when success finally arrives, and the spotlight turns your way, not enough. It's not going to ask if you're excited. It's going to ask if you're ready. And patience is what makes you ready. Not enough? Patience is what builds the version of you that can handle what you prayed for. And when you get there, not enough. You won't just be celebrating the win. You'll be standing on the strength that silence gave you. So don't rush the season you're in. Don't run from the quiet. Don't curse the waiting. Own it. Embrace stretch. Let it teach you. Let it build the kind of depth that doesn't crack under pressure. Because in the end, anyone can flash success, but not everyone can sustain it. And the difference. Patience, there comes a point in the journey where the work starts to speak for itself. Where the grind, not enough. The disciplines, they all begin to echo in a language far louder than words. See results. And here's the thing. Real success doesn't need a spokesperson. It doesn't need marketing. When something is real, it announces itself. It moves without permission. It speaks without volume. And the moment you understand that, not enough, you stop needing to talk about what you're doing. You just do it. Because the best way to prove anything is to show it. Let's go deeper with this. Not enough. There's a reason why the people who accomplish the most often say the least. Because when you've really put in the hours, when you've really built something solid, you develop a quiet confidence. Not arrogance, not ego. Just a calm knowing that you don't need to explain yourself anymore. Your work is the explanation. Think about it. Not enough. Have you ever noticed how the loudest voices are usually the ones with the least substance? It's often the people still trying to become something who feel the urge to convince others of who they are. And that's not judgment. It's human. We all want to be seen. We all want to be understood. But maturity is learning when to speak, and when to let your results do the talking. Because once results arrive, the room changes. Not enough. The people who doubted you, quiet. The ones who questioned your pace, silent. The critics, the skeptics, the ones who laughed, they don't laugh anymore. Why? Because the scoreboard changed. And results have a way of silencing the room. And that's not about revenge. This isn't about proving people wrong. That's a distraction. This is about living in such alignment with your values, your goals, your purpose, that you don't need external validation to feel worthy. You just move. You just execute. And in time, not enough. The fruit of that execution speaks louder than any argument could. That's where the real power is. It's not in the hype. It's not in the big talk. It's in the evidence. Did I do too much? You don't have to say you're disciplined when the work shows up every day. You don't have to announce you're growing when the progress is obvious. Not enough. You don't have to beg people to see you when your life has become undeniable proof of your effort. See, in the early stages, you talk because you're still becoming. You're still convincing yourself that it's real. That's okay. But at some point, the identity settles. The habits are formed. The vision is clear. Not enough. And now you don't have to convince anymore. You just live it. You embody it. And that quiet presence, that's what people notice. Not enough. Because the real ones don't speak to be heard. They move to be felt. And let's be real. There's a discipline in restraint. Not enough. In not jumping to say, look at me. In not rushing to correct the narrative. Sometimes you have to let people misunderstand you for a while. Not enough. Sometimes you have to let them talk while you build. And when the time comes and your name shows up in rooms you never entered, don't be surprised. Be ready. Because that's what happens when your results start making noise. And here's where it gets deeper. When you stop needing to speak for your work, you free up more energy to do the work. Not enough. The emotional energy we waste trying to be understood, trying to be acknowledged, that's energy that could be fueling your next step. When you let go of the need to be seen, you gain the capacity to create something worth seeing. You start operating from a different place, not from fear, not from ego, but from purpose. And that kind of focus, that's magnetic. People start asking how you did it. They start watching more closely. Not because you told them to, but because they noticed. That's the reward of the quiet grind. But let's be clear, the goal isn't fame. It's impact. It's becoming so excellent at what you do, so consistent, so true to your process, that it speaks louder than any introduction. Not enough. You don't walk into the room hoping for respect. You walk in already carrying it. Because excellence doesn't beg. It commands. Not enough. And the people who recognize that, those are the people who matter. So whatever you're building, keep refining. Keep improving. Don't rush to show people the blueprint. Not enough. Show them the building. Don't waste time explaining the dream. Let them experience the result. Because when it's real, when it's earned, you won't have to say much. Your work will speak. Your discipline will speak. Your results will speak. And when they do, the same silence that once felt heavy will feel holy.